Hey everyone, my name is Dave Nixon and welcome back to another episode of the Peak and Flow podcast. Today I want to go through and give you the framework that I use to be able to train people on how to deliver an exceptional experience. Now, the important thing to know about this is that this model is cross-contextual, across industry. You can do it in different businesses, different frameworks. It doesn't really matter. These are basically principles and you adapt them to your actual circumstances. Now, when we look at delivering an exceptional experience, some people might call them different things. I might call it giving it a wow experience. It could be wow moments. It could be, about under-promising and over-delivering. Either way, we're talking pretty much about the same thing, which is delivering, and actually it's facilitating an exceptional experience, not delivering, but I'll get to that a bit later. Facilitating an exceptional experience and understanding the frameworks that allow us to do that. So if we follow these frameworks, these principles, we're actually able to go, am I delivering on this, on the framework? Am I delivering and facilitating an exceptional experience? Now, when it comes to an exceptional experience, majority of people know what it's like to actually have that experience. You've worked with a business or a company or an organization and they really delivered. You're like, wow, that was beyond expectations, of course, but that was fantastic. So most people know what it's like to experience it. Some people know how to deliver it, but very few know how to teach people on how to deliver it. And in a lot of businesses, some people can really deliver an exceptional experience, but struggle to teach their staff to how to do the same thing. So the question comes, what frameworks do you have in place? And if you don't, you can steal this one and use it yourself. It's one that I made up, and it was literally going, how do I do this? How do I teach other people to look at what I'm looking at and really give in these areas? And so it was looking at the exceptional experience, and I built out 5 E's from that exceptional experience. And I'm like smashing through that in these next sort of 10 minutes. But you can spend hours on each E, really, in unpacking it for your business. But regardless, hopefully this becomes useful for you. If not, bin it. But that's not an exceptional experience. So I mentioned before the difference between delivering and facilitating. So we facilitate. The aim for us is to facilitate an exceptional experience. And the reason why we call it facilitating one rather than delivering one is that I cannot promise that the person is going to have an exceptional experience. I actually need them to play a role in their own experience of an exceptional experience. I'm aware that there is a co-facilitation occurring. I have a responsibility to do what's within my power, but also knowing when my circle of power finishes or influence finishes and theirs starts. So our goal is to make sure that it's also, if I have a coach that really nails these experiences, these markers, and someone had a poor experience, it's like, well, sometimes that happens, and it doesn't mean that the coach didn't do the right things. So it's making sure that the person's ability to know whether they're moving forward and being directionally correct in building out their skill sets, it's making sure that their confidence and worth isn't in the capacity for every single person to go, wow, that was exceptional. We need to look at this and go, what's within our power to deliver, or rather facilitate an exceptional experience, and know that there has to be a bit of a dance. It's not just our responsibility to do it. And it ties back into a conversation. I've heard it heaps in the industry before. In the gym industry, where they're like, we want our clients' best hour of the day to be with us. We want to make sure that when they're here, this is their best hour of the day. And I'm like, you want the best hour of the day to be about you and not their family? You don't want their best hour to be when they're walking their dog with their 4-year-old and their wife? You want to make it about the gym? Shouldn't the gym be helping them do the things that in their best hour? Shouldn't it be helping to uphold that? So now we shift to this sort of client focus, right? It's a really important conversation because it's going, what is it we're doing? How can we facilitate an exceptional experience so people can do more and be more in their actual life rather than just in our business? We want to partner with people. There's a co-facilitation occurring, not this, I'm responsible for your experience. I'm not. Which is beautiful because then the person gets to actually kind of step in and be their hero in their own story, which is very important. So what are the 5 E's? 5 E's: energy, engagement, education, entertainment, environment. Now there's plenty of other E's we could be putting in here, and some of them kind of feed into these 5 E's, but they're the 5 E's we look at: energy, engagement, education, entertainment, and environment. And it's kind of in that order. Now, the environment's actually kind of almost sits over all of them. However, number 1 is energy. So what's my energy? And it doesn't mean I have to be high energy all the time. It means, am I Am I taking responsibility for my state? So when I walk in, let's use the gym as an example to coach, am I literally knowing that anything that's going on for me, I'm parking and I'm here to be of service to others. I'm here to extend myself for other people. And so in that circumstance, I have this capacity to be able to check in with myself, anchor a state that's resourceful for what I'm about to do and what I've committed to. So there's that energy and there's their energy. So am I also engaging with them? Am I actually reading, not interpreting, not mind reading their energy and seeing what's going on for them? And in doing so, that comes in small forms. Now, for example, if you ever get on a plane and the stewardess is like, oh, can I see your little... This is meant to be a plane ticket. And they're engaging with you. They're looking you in the eye. They're engaging with you. They're seeing your name. They're doing all that sort of stuff. It's not because they don't think you can't count and know where your seat is. It's also because they're literally engaging with you and getting eye contact. Is this person, are they showing signs of anxiousness? Are they seem dodgy? Are they, a person that we might be able to call upon? Whatever the case might be, they're actually really just ensuring that there is a one-on-one touch point as you go through. And the same is actually said and done for when the person comes into the gym. I'm like, hey, how are you today? What's going on? And it's a genuine checking in of their energy, so to speak. So energy is the first one. It's very important because without it, it's really hard to get engagement. And we move to the next one. Engagement is literally going, and there's more to this, but the engagement there's three parts: one-on-one, one-to-one, one-to-many. One-on-one is literally me and the client. So I'm engaging with that client. How do I know that client's engaged? How do I know to engage with the client? One-to-one is engaging client to client. So for a community space like mine, it's like, hey, Michael, this is Jaden. Jaden just started here. He's actually just moved here from town. And so I'm engaging this one-to-one. So I'm making little connections from there. Now, one-to-many is crucial. One-to-many means that it could be 1 to 4, 1 to 3 even. It could be 1 to 10, but it can be more, 1 to 20, 1 to 30. One-to-many is making sure I've got engagement at a larger scale as well. So it's a scale of one-on-one, then a scale of one-to-one, which means that person's got more connection points with your brand outside of you than just you, and then one-to-many. And so how do I know that these people are engaged with me as we go through, and how do I know to engage these people? And that's the skill set within itself. And even from there, you've got these other concepts where we're starting to look at things such as enthusiasm and encouragement, and probably two other E's that would fall under energy and engagement. Now, the enthusiasm and encouragement are very important because there's a lot of youthfulness to this sort of sense of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm for the person even being in the space in the first time, but also in the first place, but also this enthusiasm for their progression and their results, and being able to show this sort of energy that goes with that. The encouragement's really crucial, and this is a point I haven't talked to heaps before. It's so simple. Whenever you're encouraging, it's just wording everything in the positive, not to be positive, but because you're not wanting to elicit the idea of not doing something in their mind. So there's a key difference between saying don't quit and keep going. So in any form of facilitation I'm running, I'm not saying don't quit. I'm saying keep going. I'm saying hold on. I'm saying breathe, get through this, keep moving, you're doing well. I'm talking to where we're going, not what we don't want to do. So encouragement is encouraging to where we're going, not encouraging away from what we don't want. So really, really subtle, but really, really important. It can fly under the radar, but if you have someone there, like, keep going, hold on, you're doing well, keep breathing, you're almost there. All this language compared to don't quit, don't stop, don't hold your breath. Don't give up now. Like, it's all these sort of things. It's like, well, fuck it. All I'm hearing is give up, stop, quit, stop breathing. So it's making sure that the encouragement side of things is actually moving towards where we want to go. So energy, engagement. Next one's education. And this was a slap in the face. When it comes to education, I have 20 years experience in the industry. I've worked with, I don't know, somewhere between, let's say 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 people, something like that. A ridiculous amount of people where I've had a lot of engagements, a lot of conversations, seen a lot of people move, and work with tons and tons of coaches. I'm continually the student. So when I'm spending time with someone and I'm watching them move, and I'm a student, right? At every single session I run, I am absolutely the student. I'm there to learn. I'm watching this person move, and what's coming into what I'm going to say next, or my feedback or whatever, is literally 20 years of experience in that 5-minute interaction. Now, take me or take anyone else, someone that's just out of the industry, out of school, maybe 2 years in the industry. They've got a 5-minute interaction and they say something to the, let's say the same person. The person's trialing different gyms. Now, in both cases, that client, the person trialing, might be like, wow, that was really amazing. That was great feedback. No one's ever told me that before. I might have said something and the other trainer might have said something completely different about the same exercise. The reality is that most customers don't know the difference between a $60 bottle of whiskey and a $400 bottle of whiskey. Now, I'm not trying to say that the whiskey is a great example because I'm not trying to say that the trainer that's younger is worse. It's just different. It's a different stage, right? And what's really important with that is that usually the more that something's aged, the more refined it is. And so the feedback becomes more refined. But majority of people don't actually know the fucking difference. And so it's important to stand on a mountain of education, but it's not the most important thing. It's just part of the actual piece of the puzzle, especially when we realize that when we're coaching with people, it's not about wowing them with our knowledge. It's about building a relationship with them so that we can have more insight for the feedback we're going to give them. Really, really important. Moving on from education becomes 2 things with education. We use what's called upstream or downstream cues. We're always looking at what's upstream. So if we can correct something upstream, it's going to flow downstream. And then also we use a simple framework called Q12. Or 1 or 2 things that we can give that are going to make the biggest difference. You layer that over to each other. The other one's called education looping, actually. Education looping, very similar to comedians where they do comedy looping. And so what they're going to do is say something as part of a joke at the start of a set, and then later on they come back to that same joke, and so it loops back. You can do the same thing with education looping. And so if you're measured in your communication and relationship with people, you can mention something one day and you can build that relationship and mention it again in a couple of weeks. And people are like, right, that makes so much more sense now because you're actually looping back on their education, so you're building on it. So there's also that. It's a really, really powerful skill to build. Moving on from education is entertainment. Entertainment is simply being able to bring a youthfulness, a lightfulness, a playfulness to what's going on, to bring a sense of fun, because when you get serious, you get stupid. Also, there's another quote that reads, when they're laughing, they're listening. And so entertainment is what's called a second-person phenomenon. And what that means is that it has to be inclusive of the people that you're with. So if I have an inside joke with one person and then I'm teaching engagement one-to-many and I do the inside joke, I've kind of lost rapport with a lot of other people. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of my time. So the entertainment side of things isn't just about making jokes and being a comedian. It's about bringing a sense of lightfulness to it. It's to do with your energy. It's to do with your engagement. And it actually helps educate. So commonly when someone does feel this sort of sense of lightness, they're significantly more inclined to play and bring a sense of playfulness and curiosity to their learning. But on top of that, when there is some sort of laughing, barriers get dropped and you can deliver some feedback to the person that otherwise might have been barriers up, rejecting. So it's really important building on the relationship side of things with the actual level of entertainment. You can start to deliver some really hard-hitting feedback that otherwise that would be, commonly rejected or not taken on board. So the entertainment side of things is powerful. The last is environment. But the thing with the environment is it's actually, when we nail the environment, it allows you to do all the other E's. When you nail the environment, you can do all the other E's. If the programming, the music, the actual layout of the gym, the actual systems of the business with people just walking in at random times, taking the coach's attention away from actually running the class. So you get the programming wrong, the layout of the gym incorrect, so the coach doesn't know where to stand to see everyone. The music keeps changing, they have to keep changing the music, and then people are coming in at random times to inquire because there's no system set up. Now we can't do all the 4 other E's. So the environment's crucial. We nail and make sure that we're clear on what music's required for this type of workout or this type of training, queuing it up in advance, making sure that we have dialed in the programming to be relevant for the volume of people in the gym, the coach's skill set, the busyness of that session, all of these sorts of things, so the coach can set it up in a way where they can be able to stand in certain spots, work one-to-many multiple times, have touch points with individuals, engage, educate, entertain, do all these things. Then from there, they can actually deliver and facilitate the exceptional experience. So your energy is the first thing. Then from there, you're engaging, educating, entertaining, and you make sure the environment allows you to do all those 4 things. So that's the 5 E's of the exceptional experience. I hope you found this podcast really beneficial. I enjoy teaching this sort of stuff. So if this stuff is useful for you, let me know, because I'm making sure, massive goal for me is a couple of things. And one of them is making sure that information for intergenerational health is accessible for absolutely everyone. But the big goal for me also is making sure that all of the coaching systems and strategies that we use is just accessible for everyone, because it's useful and it means we can make a bigger impact. All right, that's me done. I'm out. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you'd pass it on to someone else that you think would also find it beneficial. Otherwise, all my resources are in the show notes. Check it out. Until next time, peace and pizza. I'll see you soon.